Hi, could you both introduce yourselves with your preferred pronouns and give us a bit of information about what motivated you to apply for the role in the first place?
Should I go? I'm Steph, Hayle. I use she, her pronouns, and I was the Vice Chair of James College in charge of community and wellbeing for the last year. And I've seen some of the amazing work that Dom and Mia have been doing and a lot of the campaigns. And I was really, really passionate to sort of work towards improving those and basically just making sure that everyone got the best possible opportunity out of university. I'm part of the Disabled Students Network, Women's Network, and I've been through a lot of the support systems at the university and seen firsthand the problems they face and how people rely on them. So I wanted to use my own experience with them and the feedback that I got from working alongside them to improve them for everyone.
My name is Rowen Ellis. I go by they, them. I'm the current LGBTQ officer and have been both the queer convener and trans convener for the LGBTQ network in the past. And through my experience of that network now for almost 3 years, I've come to realise how important wellbeing issues are for students. And at the same time, as a Hes East student, I've seen kind of the lack of community cohesion between Hes East and Hes West, and also students that study on King's Manor as well. And that's what's really motivated me to, if I can make a difference for, say, trans students or LGBTQ students, I want to take that insight and those tools that I've gained and apply it to the student body as a whole, and really improve the feel of community at York as well.
You mentioned Hes East and Hes West and bringing them together, so how would you plan on doing this?
I'd want to make sure that any campaigns or policies I put in place are kind of evenly distributed between both campuses, and that I would also be spending time, even outside of working hours, on Hes East. It's something that has been important to me for the last 2 years to ensure that I am still spending time on that campus. And I think I'd want to continue that if I was elected, continue my presence there, working there, and making sure that students on Hes East are also engaged in USU and also feel like they can approach SABs and they're as much part of the community as Hes West.
You've both mentioned that community and a sense of belonging are vital for being part of a wellbeing officer. How would you plan on ensuring that students who are LGBTQ or other minority students feel included?
I think it's one of the biggest issues that we do have is generally just forcing people to actually speak up and making sure that everyone knows that their voices are heard. Obviously, Rowen has done some amazing work in their position, and I think really kind of continuing that amazing work and making sure that everyone feels comfortable and confident in being able to be themselves at university. One of my manifesto policies is creating liberation guides to York, because before coming to university, I know that often York's nightlife and the things that we have, facilities, are often sort of overlooked completely. And we do have events, we do have club nights, we do have meetings and societies and everything that do cater to minority students, be they LGBT, trans, that whole spectrum. We do have a lot of stuff there. It's just not promoted. And so I would love to create guides, both physical and online, that students who identify maybe aren't out yet, so they don't feel comfortable necessarily going to network meetings straight up, but students are able to access this and know that these are the places you can go, these are the places you can feel safe. If you want to find out more about the best ways to come out, you can talk to this person, or you can find this website, or you can go to this club night, or you can go to there is so much available, and it's all just about promoting that and making sure that everyone is aware that there is support, and we are obviously all there to help people as much as possible feel welcome here.
I think during these past few years on the Committee of LGBTQ Network, I've realised how vital the college reps are. So I think that would be really good, like you were saying, because we do have so many services and so many great societies and networks in place, making sure that their presence and their existence is fed back through colleges, so that freshers from the first week they're here know about that. And I think also working, say, linking in with other societies and other liberation networks, like say LGBTQ has a social coming up, and it's with the BAME network and also with the Disabled Students Network. So making sure that not only are students included within networks, but also making sure that those networks are interacting with each other, and that students can kind of come and go from different communities. And I think that would just, if we can get everyone as involved as possible and make sure that people are communicating as much as possible, I think that would really help with the sense of cohesion and belonging.
Rowen, you mentioned there college reps. Obviously something that features quite heavily in your manifesto is the work with sticks that you want to do.
Yeah.
Steph, you don't really talk about sticks in your manifesto. What role do you think sticks hold with accommodating to university and sort of getting used to it, and why do you think their role is so important? And more importantly, what is it that you think is flawed about the training that's happening now? We'll start with you, Rowen.
I think that sticks can prove to be really pivotal. They're some of the first people you meet when you move to university and can really help you kind of feel initiated into your college and help you feel like you can kind of create some connections right off the bat. I've heard feedback from LGBTQ students this past year saying that it can be quite isolating when you move here, and kind of what you're talking about, like maybe not being out yet or being out and just not knowing people like you. I think if we could decrease the amount of training involved in stick training, because sticks have also told me that it's just like really arduous and it's just a lot of information to kind of take on board. If I could decrease that, but also ensure that it is still like inclusivity and like liberation specific, not just for LGBTQ students, but for other minority students as well, just to ensure that training is as specific and nuanced as possible. I think that could make a really big difference to freshers and be a really rewarding experience for sticks as well.
Steph?
So I was VC of James, and I actually helped run our stick training sessions, and I completely agree with you on the sense that there is a huge amount of information that we need to tell people, and this year we actually had the most applications we've ever had in James for sticks, and we had completely reworked our stick training, so we took on the student feedback and obviously decreased a lot of it because so much of it is going over the same things. Obviously you need to talk about consent and you need to talk about issues of who to speak to and the support networks there, but it should be focused a lot on sort of more specific issues rather than blanket statements. And so obviously offering support for LGBT students and saying, right, if somebody comes up to you with these specific issues, this is how you deal with it, because it isn't covered. A lot of it is the sort of thing that I know from feedback that Sticks gave to me, because I was one of their main contacts, that they didn't know where to go, they didn't know this, and we are attempting to, and we're working with the new college committees again to try and push that further forward and say, right, these are the avenues you can go down, these are the people you can talk to. And also, yeah, as you said, people who aren't just aren't aware of anything around the city, being able to say, if you don't want to talk to anyone in person, you can go to Nightline, you can go to all these different facilities, but sticks are really important. They are vital to sort of the introduction to York, and just making sure that they feel comfortable and confident talking to students of a minority that they themselves may not belong to is ridiculously important.
Obviously, the topic of minorities is really important for this position. The new PTO that's been sort of put into place this year is the Officer of Working Class. It's quite a controversial one. I suppose my main issue here is do you understand why it's controversial? What side of the fence do you stand on, and how actually do you aim to work with whoever's voted in as Working Class Officer? How do you plan to overcome sort of the teething issues? Steph?
So I completely, looking through the campaigns, I completely understand why we have this position. I've seen the sort of arguments of people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, or people with financial difficulties needing extra support, and I completely agree. I completely agree that we need to offer more support and facilities and systems in place to just provide for students who perhaps are financially struggling, or who are caring for somebody, or do have these issues. I understand the controversy even because of the name. Obviously, working class is controversial in itself, identifying the class system. Obviously, we're an international uni. We don't want to just put people into different buckets, but the issues that are put in place aren't necessarily just there for working class students. I've acted as a carer for my family. I have a lot of financial issues myself, but I wouldn't necessarily identify as working class. So I think I plan to work with the officer. They've been democratically elected. It is completely there. I completely agree with the nature of the position, and I want to make sure that they are there to provide as much as they can for the people that they are there to support, which is not just working class people, but all of those from that background.
Thank you. And Rowen, really quickly, what do you feel?
Yeah, I too completely support the position. I think that it's really important for there to be a democratically elected part-time officer to address the really practical issues that a working class student would face. Someone who, say, can't live as close to campus because of the, frankly, ridiculously priced housing close to campus. Making sure that there's, say, reduced bus services in place, making sure that there's adequate support available to working class students. So I completely agree.
Perfect. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. Thank you as well,
you.
Isabel, for helping out. So thank you, Rowen, Steph and Isabel. In just a moment, we will